Hello, everybody, and I am coming to you right now from the Shenandoah Valley in the United States. I have been here for the past 10 days or so. I came for my cousin's son's wedding, and I've been spending the last couple of days. I thought I would spend the last week working on my writing, which I have valiantly tried to do. But I'm here to sort of give you a little bit of an update about how that's all been going. I appreciate that some of you have been saying, where are Joanne's last two Friday videos? She hasn't come in. She hasn't, touched base with us about, what she's doing. And that is because there hasn't been a lot to report. I have been very distracted with meeting family again. I haven't seen some cousins for, I don't know, more than 30 years. So I've had a really very intense and wonderful time meeting cousins that I last saw in my 20s and seeing them now again as a woman in my 50s. So that's all been wonderful and kind of overwhelming in the way that family can be. But I have to say, I've really needed some time to process the whole time that I've had here and really try and reorient myself into the writing of my book. So for those of you who've been keeping up with my weekly Friday writing videos, I probably last left you in the place where I was thinking that I was going to have to reevaluate the whole story that I had written. I've written approximately 40,000 words of my new book, and I'd been given feedback that the story probably wasn't working so well, or as well as I had hoped it was working. I know there's some really good writing in there, but actually what's interesting about that is that really good writing does not necessarily mean that your story is working. And that's kind of a really important distinction, I guess, that we kind of come to learn as we become more experienced writers. And so the couple of days I've had here now to think about my writing, I've looked at what I have done, and what I am experiencing right now is a sense of complete disorientation in my own writing process. It's because I thought I was probably more than halfway through writing a book. And it turns out that I possibly haven't really even started writing a book. Now, I can't tell you that this is like the most fabulous feeling in the world, partly also because I do have a book deadline, which I'm probably going to really need to renegotiate. But I've really tried to sit with this idea that where I thought I was and really where I am with the writing of this book, they're not aligned. There is something out of whack with both of those, which is why I guess, first of all, we need feedback, and also why writing a book can really take time, and it can take a lot longer than we think it's going to take. That's if we really care about writing something that, is holding the emotional truth of an experience. And so it's very hard to go back and look at your writing and realize and look at where it's trying too hard, or where it's been forced, or where it's maybe a patchwork of different writings at different times that you've been trying to sort of stitch together and make and see if it will hold, see if you can create some kind of way in which the whole thing can energetically stand together. And that kind of is true of what I have written so far. So it was useful to get the feedback that it's not working for me, to then go back and try and diagnose why exactly it's not working completely. And the truth is that many of the bits that already are in that book have been written way back. It's not, a lot of those pieces are not really a true indication of where I am emotionally right now. So there's a kind of a coherence issue, there's a sort of a coherence issue there, where then it becomes about trying to fix the writing as opposed to really focusing on the truth of what is going on in the story. Anyway, so I've had this sense over this week while I've been frustratedly sort of sitting looking at my computer and circling around certain things and looking at ways in which I can fix this, that really what I'm dealing with emotionally here is very similar to what happens when your children reach a certain age. I'm attached to this writing. I'm attached to it. I don't really want to let it go. And I'm sort of looking for ways in which I can sort of still hold on to bits and pieces of it, and make it work, right? And I really had this insight that that's kind of a lot of what this time of life is about with our children. It's like we're still trying to hold on to things from the past, things that maybe they've moved on from or we've moved on from, and we're still trying to hold on to them and make them work in this moment or in the life that we've got with them right now. And then we find it doesn't quite work. And so I'm starting to feel like I'm getting close to being able to wrap my fingers around something that is true and real about where I am with it. And I know that as soon as I get it, that the writing will come. I think part of the writing process, such a big part of the writing process, is this place of learning to trust that you have got whatever is needed inside of you, and that when you've done the deep inner work of the writing, that you are going to, find your way in. And it really is just about finding that little slipstream of true emotion that will allow you to get back to where you need to go. But what it requires is, that you really do unattach yourself from everything that you have already done. And that feels like a loss, because I'm feeling like, oh, fuck, I have written 40,000 words. How many of these can I keep? Now, as long as I am attached to that mentality, and as long as that's where my head's at, these are obstacles I'm placing in my own way towards getting to a new place where it's just going to flow. I'm conscious of it. I'm really doing mostly what I'm doing is consciousness work, because I know that the craft work it will come when I've got my consciousness sorted out, when I've worked beyond my own resistances around this. I'm also conscious too that, when you think about the other day, I had this amazing experience where I had a butterfly land on my finger. It's never happened to me in my life ever that I've had a butterfly land on my finger. It was such an amazing moment, and I just sat there and watched this little creature sitting on my finger. And I realized that the whole process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, there comes a point when that caterpillar's inside that cocoon where the whole caterpillar becomes mush. The caterpillar completely has to liquefy, lose itself completely. There's no semblance of the caterpillar left before those, imaginal cells start to turn themselves into a butterfly. It's such a cliche. I hate it, and I would never use it in my writing. But I'm just saying that I'm conscious of the fact that what's happening to me in my writing right now is that I'm in that liquefying stage where absolutely everything I've done is dissolving in front of me. And only when I surrender and accept that nothing that I have already done is going to be the place that starts me in this new book. That's when the new book will start to take shape. It's such a horrible thought. I'm still attached. I can feel my attachments. I'm trying hard to release them. But I'm conscious that that's where I am with it. And so I thought I would just let you in on this part of the process, because the frustration is incredible. I had set aside a week to do some writing work. I had my deadline. I wanted to have so many number of words done by the time I left here. Doesn't look like any of that is going to happen. But I had a caterpillar land on my finger. I've been watching hummingbirds feeding. There are mosquitoes here that are this big. I'm not joking. They are this big. I'm bitten to shreds here. We are on a river. in the Shenandoah Valley. I had a beautiful kayak yesterday out on the river. There are so many beautiful gifts of this time, and I'm trying to be very present to all of those. So sometimes life doesn't work according to these agendas that we set for ourselves, especially when it comes to writing, and we have got to be so incredibly compassionate, open, receptive, empty, in order to sometimes find that little strand that is going to help us really write the thing that we need to write, to find the thing that inside of us that has been waiting to be said. So that's it. I just wanted to check in with those of you who have reached out and said, "What's happening, Joanne? Where have you been the last 2 weeks?" I've been in this stage. I've been liquefying. I've been trying to let go of all the bits and pieces that I've already written and see if I really do have it in me to say, right, scrap it all, start again, see where this takes you. So I hope this gives those of you who are writing a little bit of heart that, sometimes writing, you'll get into it. You know exactly what you've got to do. It will just be a simple kind of linear process of really doing the work and finishing what you have to say, especially if you have an idea that has been sitting inside of you for a long time and is being richly conceived and really just needs you to make space and time for you to get words on the page. Sometimes writing works like that, and when it does, by God, you just must say thank you and kneel down and be grateful for that. And sometimes it requires us to return and return and return again to the place where we think we need to start until we really find the place where we do need to start. And that's kind of where I am with this. I'm kind of thinking too that there maybe are 2 books in here that I need to separate out, 2 different kinds of stories, 2 different things that I need to say. I'm exploring that idea as well, but I'm also examining whether, in fact, that is just a form of resistance and my own attachment to what I've already written. My not wanting to throw it all away, especially the good bits. I know there's some really good writing in there. So that's where I am, and I am here in the United States for another couple of days. Shall be back late next week in Sydney, having lost a day or so in international travel, and I hope to pick up on my writing and hope to have found a new starting place, as I travel forwards in time.